For decades, Area 51 has existed as both a real top-secret facility and a kind of cultural mirror for our own technological anxieties and ambitions, representing the edge of what may be possible in aerospace engineering. Officially, little is said about it. Unofficially, it is the birthplace of some of the most extraordinary aircraft ever built by the United States. But in the past 2 years, something unusual has been happening there. Something on a much larger scale than anyone expected. New satellite images and several indirect indicators show that the base is undergoing major expansion. Recent construction of unusually large hangars, lengthened runway segments, expanded restricted airspace, and what appear to be subterranean structures designed for experiments requiring extreme isolation. Taken together, these developments suggest that Area 51 may now be supporting programs that go far beyond traditional stealth technology, possibly involving entirely new classes of aerospace vehicles. To understand what the U.S. may be building at Area 51 today, it's necessary to look at the historical pattern of how technology emerges from this facility. The U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, developed in total secrecy during the 1950s, was the first major project. When it became public knowledge decades later, it fundamentally changed our understanding of Cold War surveillance capabilities. Later came the SR-71 Blackbird, the fastest air-breathing aircraft ever flown, capable of speeds above Mach 3 at altitudes exceeding 85,000 feet. The existence of the SR-71 was denied for years before eventually being declassified. Then came the F-117 Nighthawk, the first operational aircraft using sophisticated radar-absorbing geometry. So advanced that when it was first revealed in 1988, it seemed decades beyond anything known publicly. The pattern is consistent. Every time the U.S. officially reveals a classified aircraft, the technology looks radically more advanced than anything previously acknowledged. And every time there are hints it had already been operational for years before disclosure. This leads to a critical insight. Whatever the public currently thinks is cutting edge, be it the F-22 Raptor or the F-35 Lightning II, is almost certainly not the true frontier of American aerospace capabilities. The real breakthrough technologies would still be classified, hidden, and almost certainly tested at Area 51. And today, it appears that the facility is undergoing yet another transformation, one that suggests preparation for a new generation of aerospace vehicles that may no longer rely on conventional jets, aerodynamic lift, or even traditional chemical propulsion. One of the most discussed possibilities is that Area 51 is now a central location for development and testing of the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, NGAD, which is intended to replace the F-22 in the coming decades. Officially, NGAD is described as a system of systems, possibly involving a manned sixth-generation fighter supported by autonomous drones, functioning as distributed weapons platforms. These unmanned wingmen could be carrying ordnance, performing electronic warfare or decoy missions, and extending the reach of the primary aircraft far beyond what any current fighter can achieve alone. If this is the case, the new hangars at Area 51 may not be designed for one aircraft, but for an entire integrated fleet of interconnected aerial systems. However, NGAD, while highly advanced, is still conceptually grounded in known aerodynamics and propulsion. But certain structural additions to Area 51 hint at something more unusual. Several analysts examining satellite imagery have noticed large circular foundation structures and low-profile dome installations, which could theoretically be used for experimental propulsion testing, including systems that might be extremely sensitive to vibration, electromagnetic interference, or acoustic signatures. These installations may be consistent with research not into faster jets, but into completely different categories of flight. This is where speculation about exotic or alternative propulsion begins, including the persistent rumors surrounding triangular aircraft, commonly referred to as the TR-3B. While official recognition of any TR-3B type craft remains non-existent, numerous credible eyewitness reports from pilots, radar crews, and observers around U.S. test ranges have described silent, low-frequency humming triangular vehicles capable of hovering and accelerating at rates that would incapacitate any human pilot under normal physics. Although extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, the persistence of these reports and the consistency of the described vehicle geometry cannot be dismissed out of hand, especially when correlated with decades of classified research into field propulsion, plasma dynamics, and electromagnetic drive systems. If such platforms are being developed, it could mean that the U.S. aerospace industry may be crossing an inflection point, one where breakthroughs in material science, energy systems, and controlled physics interactions might allow for propulsion that significantly reduces or eliminates dependency on air for lift or oxidizers for combustion. This would have enormous implications. A vehicle that could operate at hypersonic speeds for extended durations, or at altitudes bordering on near space, would not simply be a more advanced aircraft. It would mark the transition from aeronautics to a new category altogether, aerospace continuum craft, capable of functioning seamlessly from atmosphere to exosphere. Funding patterns also support the possibility of radical development. Each year, the United States allocates tens of billions of dollars to special access programs, SAPs, and so-called black budget initiatives. These are financial channels that bypass conventional oversight, where details are limited to only a handful of authorized personnel. Within these restricted programs exist unacknowledged and waived SAPs, projects which do not officially exist anywhere in public documents and are exempt even from standard congressional inquiry. If transformative propulsion research is occurring, the funding streams would likely be hidden in exactly these allocations, and the physical implementation, testing, and storage would almost certainly occur at either Area 51, Wright-Patterson, Edwards Air Force Base, or the Tonopah Test Range. There is another important trend: the expansion of secure underground infrastructure. Satellite data and geological scanning studies show that Area 51 has increasing subterranean depth, effectively a second underground base. This suggests testing of technologies that require isolation from vibration, atmospheric interference, acoustic leakage, and even visual detection. Underground facilities would also be required for shielded power generation experiments, especially those involving high-energy electromagnetic fields or exotic propulsion trials that might produce sensitive emissions. Meanwhile, public military encounters with unexplained aerial objects, now formally designated as UAP, have increased notably since 2019. These incidents, reported by Navy pilots and documented in declassified footage, show objects performing maneuvers that exceed known aerodynamic capability. Instantaneous directional changes, sustained acceleration without a visible propulsion exhaust, and stable hovering in winds and high G environments. While many speculate extraterrestrial involvement, a more grounded hypothesis is that at least some of these sightings may correspond to classified domestic aerospace programs tested in controlled or semi-controlled exposure to frontline aviators. It would not be unprecedented. The F-117 was once spotted and reported as a UFO before its existence was acknowledged. If any of these sightings correlate with domestic prototypes, the logical staging and testing site would be Area 51. This would also explain why the facility's airspace restrictions have recently been expanded, both vertically and laterally, effectively creating a larger operational envelope for testing craft whose performance profiles may exceed conventional jet activity. Whatever the truth may be, the strategic implications are enormous. The nation that first develops aircraft not bound by traditional aerodynamics or fuel requirements would possess not just air superiority, but near-space dominance. It would control the movement of surveillance, strike capability, and rapid response deployment on a global scale. It would be able to reposition military assets in minutes rather than hours, and conduct reconnaissance or even deterrent operations far beyond current technological reach. Of course, there remains the possibility that the developments at Area 51, while exciting, are grounded in more conventional but still highly advanced aerospace engineering, next-generation stealth materials, ultra-efficient turbine systems, directed energy weapon integration, or advanced electronic warfare suites capable of disabling enemy radar and communications. Even if this conservative interpretation is correct, the implications are still profound, because any aircraft tested there would be at least a full generational leap beyond what is currently acknowledged publicly. And yet, the recurring theme in the history of Area 51 is that whatever the public sees, it is always many years behind what actually flies in classified operations. If the SR-71 was flying secretly in the 1960s, but only revealed decades later, what could be flying now? Unseen, unidentified, unexplained, above remote deserts, or over secure testing ranges at night. It is entirely possible that right now, inside Area 51, the US is perfecting aerospace platforms that will not be shown to the world for another 20 or even 30 years. Perhaps one day, when these technologies become outdated by internal standards, they will be declassified, and the world will react with the same astonishment that greeted the Blackbird or the Nighthawk. Until then, Area 51 remains silent and inaccessible. Its security cordon is absolute, its perimeter patrolled, its testing unseen. But the changes happening there, visible only from orbit, suggest that the United States is building something unprecedented, something that may redefine not only military strategy, but the very concept of flight. Whatever lies hidden behind those new hangars and beneath those reinforced structures is likely to shape the future of aerospace power in ways we can only begin to imagine today. What are your thoughts on Area 51? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to Military World to get our latest videos straight to your notifications.